Master Venus. O beloved hearts, the thrill of the soul, when at last it realizes that it serves not just a God of the earth itself, but a cosmic being, that the entire planetary chain, the whole of cosmos, with all its curtained and obscure majesty, is the domain of God, that all of the God within is also his realm, that each monad, faithful to his purpose, at last can recognize the wonder of his love in the intensification of cosmic outreach and cosmic inreach. For the mysteries of the atom are wondrous to behold, and the domain of the miniature is a marvel of creation to rival that which is the macrocosmic universe. Hence, humanity serves and are served by a cosmic being. God is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. How beautiful are the feet of the omnipresence of spirit upon the mountain of man's being. For man in reality is an aspiring mountain, whether he realizes it or not. He does aspire. Sometimes he is captured and magnetized by those tiny concepts which hold him in bondage. But then again, he is able to break those cords of bondage. It is almost a wonder to behold that man, bound and bowed down in the encircling of his divine potential by human bondage, is able to break those bonds. And then the spirit soaring free into the untrammeled heights of the air beholds, penetrating cosmos everywhere, a cosmic prayer, a vapor trail of light from souls that penetrate the night to find out and hold in sight the divine potential of every man. Wondrous to behold and enthralling those who know, even as the mystery enthralls those who know not, the wonders of God, the wonders of creation, and the wonders of his love remain goals in the sights of every man and woman who can grasp the significance of attainment. Made a little lower than the angels, yet crowned with more glory, the cosmic potential of the children of God, bound in human form, is still very great and remains so. Those who practice endeavors of darkness and do the work of satanic powers upon the planet will one day come to naught. Their efforts will be rendered a zero, and all of their investiture of their energy in negation, because negation is nothing, will vanish away and be no more. But during the time that humanity and these beings coexist upon the same planetary body, there is always the ever-present threat that individuals will submit or be intimidated by a sense of oppression. Are there witches? Are there black magicians? Are there those who practice the sin of necromancy? All of these activities will come to naught. They will be no more. The sad travesty that exists here is that humans, in whom lies the crowning potential of the divine, will allow themselves to be brought under the power of these banal influences of negativity and nothingness in the eyes of God. Will you then today, recognizing the many snares laid for humanity and the great cosmic trust invested in you by God, recognize the trailing garments of many divine beings that can bring to you as though flowers were falling in a gentle shower from the realm of God in heaven upon you? Assist the divine plan by tying in to the world of divine beings and beholding the one God living in all. One of the great problems existing in the minds of some are problems involving allegiance, where individuals feel that their allegiance is solely to God, and so it is. They do not understand that when they love the God within the heart of an atom, it is the self-same beautiful love of loving God within the whole cosmos. Is God separated from himself? I tell you nay. Your hearts tell you nay. And all of you, loving one another in the bond of cosmic light, are able to recognize that it is God within one another that you love, and thus no desecration. You have not betrayed your allegiance to him when you love others. For did not Jesus in his great Palestinian embodiment tell you to love one another? What a folly it is in the world that dogma then should become a dividing wall and a wailing wall as others lament this fact that it has been so. When hearts are divided against each other through trivia, when mortal affairs take precedence over divine ones, when the human struggle is intensified in matters of the survival of the ego, so much that is divine and eternal is lost to the individual. But it cannot be lost unto God, for it is immortal, even as God intended by his gift of his holy image to convey immortality to man. From the fountain of the beginning, outpouring from his heart, were the great strands of cosmic intent and intensity, divine love flowing forth in cadences and measures of beauty that men in their lesser vision have denied. There are those today still remaining in the world of form who paint Iscariot as a son of Belial, as one who betrayed the master, but do not see that they themselves, by carelessness and crassness, are equally betraying the master, and in an age of greater enlightenment. For cosmic potentials delivered by the graces of God through the Akashic records to seers and prophets in your time have rendered unto humanity today the same beauty as golden ages received in the past. Yet this age has only betrayed its Lord and has not yet received him. Do you understand that in the midst of all this that has been darkness, great souls have still communed with the tall pine trees upon the hills? They have lifted up their hearts to God, despairing only of man and not of nature. They have felt the ethereal sense of beauty that penetrates the skies of earth, when the solemn and beautiful branches of physical foliage enhance the vision in the eyes of men, as nature parading before his gaze shows him the clarity of the divine intent in all that is nature. which he denies within the domain of the wondrous creation of his mortal form, endowed as it is with the powers of mind from the Lords of mind. The creativity fountain within man has been turned through the power of vain imagination to the creation of darkened designs in the world, and the world, spelling out those designs in its own doom, does not reckon with the judgment of God. But those who fall beneath the level of common decency, entering into satanic delusions, are not even able to fear any longer. Their actions without fear, blunted as by a narcotic, when a narcotic blunts the senses, blinds their eyes and their ears to their own doom that foreshadows them and will not forsake them until they exist no longer. For that which they have done against the living God is a desecration to their own souls, and repudiates all the fountain of cosmic intelligence and intelling, the stream of divine perception, and the uplifted wings of God that are inherent within their soul. By denial, mankind comes at last to that realm where he is equally guilty with the Herod of the past and the Pilate, and those who also sought to slay the infant Messiah. They are guilty indeed with them, and they shall come into that same pit where they shall lose all sense of balance, falling at last to a point where nature redeems the broken substance and brings through the fires of transmutation the soul once again back into the fiery heart of God, where all the dross, the grossness, and the iniquity is no more, and only the divine potential remains, the individuality being destroyed. O humanity, with such great God potential existing, enabling here in this particular solar system the emanations of your own beloved solar orb to penetrate out into space and bring awareness and grace of Alpha and Omega and of Helios and Vesta into your world as the cosmic gossamer beauty of life that cannot always in your present gross form come to be fully cognized, but will, as you etherealize your beings, living more in the divine consciousness, reach that stage of your inner and interior development where your souls and the solar light of cosmic purpose will bring to you a crystal realm of such beauty and perfection as is worthy of immortality. Then you will stand together with your peers upon the sea of glass, the sea of crystalline perfection, because only perfection can and ought to be crystallized. All else ought to remain boiling, bubbling, blazing, and moving into that perfection of the solar sea of glass depicted by John the Revelator as within the New Jerusalem. The new consciousness, the refined nature of man's being, godlike in its totality, and retaining within it the vestiges of his light. I am Venus of the sun. I am Venus of the planet Venus. Together with the holy Sanat Kumara, I send waves of light and love constantly to the earth. And I increase the sense of beauty with the assistance of that blessed soul, Paul the Venetian master, to make humanity who yearn for it to behold at last that the intensification of even earthly beauty is within the eyes of God. To intensify the concept in mortal form and in individuals, that the eyes of God are even within themselves. For there is a focus of the eye of God within each individual. This is referred to as the single-eye vision by Jesus. If thine eye be single. The oneness. Oh, the sweet oneness of vision, when all humanity beholding in this lustrous eye of God the entire intent of his perfection and purpose, his plan, and beholding the end to struggle, the perfection of the golden age of immortality, born in the foreverness of the consciousness of God, manifest at last as the kingdom of heaven amongst men. In the eye of man is the focus of the divine one within. Singleness of vision, singleness of purpose. Then no sense of struggle can exist, for when all hold the similitude of the purposes of God within their own eyes, the divine purpose can be a reality, for none in that city will be without candle of cosmic illumination. None will be without the vision. None will seek to eclipse the acts of another, but all will work for the same purposes of the kingdom of God, the city of God amongst men, not through human sociological struggle and all that is of the dragon of darkness, but through the immortal Lamb of God that taketh away the sins and the stain of the world, will the stain be covered by his life, in which all share. For when man comes to a place in his own endowment where he frames within himself the self-same purpose desires of the Christ, he returns through the veil of time to that point in time and space where he is in all effect crucified with Christ, risen with him and ascended with him. And thus, though men be yet upon the earth, waiting the moment of perfection, they will one day become joint heirs with Christ in the fullness of the universal compact, signed and sealed by hierarchs of cosmic purpose. The domain of the great white brotherhood, having fulfilled an end to all mankind's illusions, spells an end to war and struggle and violence, and replaces all of that in the world of form by the desire for valor in the hearts of men. All seeking the excellence of God will perform according to that excellence in each Monday's domain and throughout the calendar of the week, and then repetitiously throughout the calendar of the month and the year will come forth each stone of whited perfection in the temple of God, till all stand, even as there stands today in our great temple here upon Venus, a replica of these stones cut out without hands, shining in the perfect image of their Creator in the domain of the Christ consciousness, whited stones in whom existed the darkness of the world, but now exists only the crystalline and beautiful light of the Christ. And on this great pyramid is kindled the universal flame of perfection, the true Iliad of perfection, the true flame of illumination. And all of man's human designs fading away as a mist, at last perish from the earth, and all that remains is the clothing of the saints, the garments of the Lord. Thus shall earth become a friend to Venus, and to every solar orb, and to the people of the universe in whom is kindled the vision of the Son of God, the light of God, and the great power of light we have called Maximus. I speak tonight of the multitude of blessed elementals who render such valiant service to the earth and her evolutions. I speak of those who have not the hope of immortality ye have, O men of earth. For these blessed creatures, carrying out the will of God in part, and reflecting the qualities of man's nature, are often misunderstood and seldom recognized by mankind. How blessed it is that they render the cosmic service they do. The natural healing arts are the recipient of the distilled medicines of God, which are inherent within leafy plants, roots, and other manifestations of nature, such as barks. Let all understand the grace that God has imbued nature with, but think not that the All-Father himself is actually coming down from his lofty position in cosmic reality to minister unto each manifestation of nature. I tell you, nay, for God comes down, it is true, through the process of the blessed elementals. The elementals, programmed as they are to carry out the designs and manifestations God intends to create in nature, bring to humanity untold blessings for which they seldom receive recognition. When they age and mature, they too must part from those they love. And when they come to that point where they bid goodbye to those they have served with for so long, it is an eternal farewell. For never again will they manifest, their cycle being finished. To you, O blessed humanity, as I come tonight, is the breathing and living awareness that you are made a little lower than the angels, yet not to that depth of unreal seeming manifestation, the level of the blessed elementals, where soul is not, but only programmed manifestation and obedience to the laws of God. How fortunate you are, one and all, then, to receive this glorious opportunity toward immortal life. The factor grace that brings to you the individual realization that one day you may manifest that status of being where you become a part of the Godhead or the God of a system of worlds, is not a happenstance, but a design. For in his lofty heart and those conclusions of the cosmic hierarchy, the living God has vested man with the seeds of his own destiny. We then, who have for so long proscribed the right attitudes toward men of lesser vision, come to you today to bring to you that exalted concept of yourselves, which will make you, one and all, if you maintain the proper attitude, to esteem yourselves properly. Blessed ones, do not allow yourselves to go down into despair simply because of some human, mortal triviality. The very living grace of heaven has already predestined you to divine sonship and divine kingship. You may not realize this today. It seems a far cry from your present mode. It seems at times to some of you a myth which can never be. But I tell you, it is inevitable if you pursue the path Godward. For the life atoms of your heart consist of the most beautiful of the atoms of God's own heart. Have you thought on the concept that your spiritual heart is created of the substance of the heart of God? Do you know, whenever individuals fail to manifest this reality, it is because of an overlay of mortal substance and misqualification. Through a sense of misqualification comes a human state, and through a human state comes the creation of what your psychiatrists have called obsessional insanity and awful tides of restless inferiority that sweep you often into tiny traps where the soul is momentarily brought to the feet of gnashing of teeth and literal wailing because conditions are not to your liking. Do not despair, blessed hearts, or permit yourselves to be swept into those veils of unreality that so frequently are misdirected in your direction. You are a divine child, and the love of God is showered upon you. The fragrance of the thoughts of his heart wafts its way through the processes of nature and the cosmic nature of God to connect each person with the beautiful light of God. I have seen the cosmic ellipse flow out. I have observed how first one man initiates a call, and then as the call comes forth, the answer comes forth simultaneously. And when it comes, it often is a cosmic ellipse, starting with the very heart of the living God and passing through space and substance and conditions and time into the realm of your own God-free being, the living answer that the call compels. Well then, when this light energy is just a little short of having reached you, how many strange buffetings occur. I do not say that the power of that light could not literally shatter the oppositional factors, but I do say that the laws governing the magnetism of your own worlds, sometimes momentarily, blessed ones, will not allow you or permit you to accept the teachings. I want to say then that the never-failing light of God that comes in answer to that which you yourself have evoked carries with it all of this sweetness, this love, and this depth of God's concern for you as for a sparrow that flies through the air and is sold for only a penny in the marketplace. So little is its worth, yet God also cares for it. When then this light comes into your world, bear in mind that it is the light of the answer, and yet what is it that keeps it from manifestation? What causes it to fall short of its mark? Is it not then the very disbelief in your own God-given ability to reach the heart of God, to evoke a response, to receive it at the specific moment when you need it? Well, beloved hearts of light, you create the obstacles and barriers by your doubts in yourself, in your own blessed ability to conceive the thoughts that God would conceive. Somehow or other, in this selling short of the man or the woman or the plan, mankind do not realize that they sin. They are so innocent and so ignorant, yet so full of desire to receive an answer from the heart of God, that when it does not come, sometimes they literally sob because they feel that God has forsaken them. This was not uncommon even to the Master Jesus, for he cried out, as you so well know, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Let all understand then that God in reality never forsakes, except for that conclusive test whereby the mettle of a man is tested to see whether or not he has indeed perceived the light as God intends him to perceive it, and is ready for another step. Even the dark night of the soul and the feeling of being forsaken, blessed ones, is always just that, a test or an experience which brings to your hearts, if you will only properly respond to it, a greater level and measure of awareness of the infinite light of God. It is not the will of the Father that any of you should perish, but that all should come to the knowledge of the truth. You need not, blessed ones, be complacent, but you need not to fear that God does not love you. Even when moments of pain come to you in your mental states because of senses of oppression and iniquity, even when you fall short of being the man or woman you so long and yearn to be, all of this is simply a matter of human testing by the divine. It may not seem so to you, but it is. Then you may say, why all this frustrating delay? Why all this stoppage? Well, blessed ones, there is great value in experience. But man should know also that in addition to experience, he requires instruction in cosmic law. And so many have this forsaken feeling without ever knowing how it can be controlled. Do you remember the words of the young boy Samuel the prophet? When he heard the voice of God in the night, he said, as he was instructed to do, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." And then establish that connection, that uniting tie with his own blessed reality. Do you understand, O hearts of light, that it is necessary for you, one and all, to establish those ties to your own God presence and the cosmic reality of God by actually invoking that contact, by perceiving the answer, even when your eyes may not be opened? How is this done? Simply through an act of faith that even in the night is aware that the dawn will come. Be this way. In your thoughts each day, no longer fear, for it is perfect love that casteth out fear. And I am increasing and intensifying the feeling of cosmic love in your midst this night. I am stepping it up that you may be able to feel the generation of this cosmic grace that will foster regeneration and create light and love from the very heart of God straight to your blessed hearts. And now I speak of seals. The 7 seals from the heart of God. Not the vials, blessed ones, the vials of plagues that come upon mankind as a result of their own karma, but now of the seals that rest upon the senses of humanity. You have those blessed orbs, your eyes. How beautiful they are, and how wondrously constructed outwardly and from an inner standpoint. But do you know that they have been sealed? Do you know that the seals can be broken? So that even with your eyes you may see God. And when you see God and the realms of heaven, right while you are here on earth, when your spiritual eyes are truly opened and the seals removed, then the infinite light pours forth again and again into your world. For with each revealed vision of cosmic truth, that which really is occurring all around you, your heart will leap for joy at the divine potential that completely belies the world's straggle and struggle and grossness and lack of understanding of what shall be. This is why they produce so much darkness and shadow, because they see it in their minds. The mental pictures they make construe the identities and purposes of God, not only in an anthropomorphic way, but also in a strangling way of completely distorting the divine intent. And now we come to the voice of many waters, to the blessed ears of humanity, those that are stopped, those that are closed. For humanity do not hear, in most cases, spiritual offerings. The floral offerings of the deity come to them in all their beauty and wonder, and the wondrous sound of the music of the spheres. They see not, and they hear not. For did not Jesus, the great Master, clearly say, having eyes, they see not, and having ears, they hear not. The evil in the world, beloved hearts, is not real, but it is made real by the distortion of mankind's senses, by the illusions of imperfection that appear in the world of form. But now I come this night with the stalwart truth that God can remove the seals from your eyes, and the seals from your ears, and from your nostrils, and your sense of feeling. You may touch the face of God with your own hands. For one day you will understand that by reason of being created in His image, as your hands touch your own face, they are touching the face of God. When you properly esteem yourself, you cannot permit yourself to ever again fall below that level. And this is why the ascended masters, the angelic host, the cosmic beings, and all of those who work for the benefit of humanity in the world are all concerned with the opening of your eyes, the bringing forth of spiritual vision. For by your conceptions and by your perceptions will you be able once again to regain that marvelous vision of the living God that beholds the world as truth, and all of the atoms and molecules and spaces in the world fall in to the togetherness of God because it is His holy will. I am Cuzco, and I come from my retreat in Suva to bring to you the sound of the great cosmic sea, the power of cosmic vision that exalts mankind out of the frustrating sense of his littleness into the awesome sense of his greatness. For the greatness of the individual is truly the image of God. The image of God covered over with the rubble and trash of life that individuals have allowed to masquerade as their true self, that they have allowed and permitted to become nervous, to become afflicted, to become a little cowed creature, basking, this is questionable, in the dusk, in the dust, in the conditions of life that are far from the perfection of God. I come to you tonight, then, to ask the Lords of Karma to open your eyes that you may see, to open your ears that you may hear, to teach you how to smoothen the wrinkles of your soul, those wrinkles you have placed there, preventing that blessed soul from manifesting at last and mirroring the perfection vision of the ascended consciousness. Far over the sea, there is indeed a trumpeting of light. It heralds a coming of a presence, the living presence of God, that seems so far removed from many men. Some have spoken of Gabriel, and of Uriel, and of Chamuel, and of Raphael, and of Michael, and of others, of the angelic hosts, many unknown to you. But I tell you tonight, there is no need for frustration, but only rejoicing. The trumpeting of rejoicing is the triumph of our Lord and of his Christ. It is a triumph intended by the living Christ in his Sermon on the Mount upon the hillsides of Judea long ago. Intended in the mighty sermon preached by Lord Buddha also upon the hillside at Sarnath. I say to you then that the world is the recipient of many graces, and the graces from the heart of God have been stomped upon and misunderstood and trifled with. And there are those who have ill regarded the words of prophecy that we have brought unto the earth, that God has brought unto the earth. For we are all his servants, the servants of truth. And together with you we stand in hope, rejoicing when mankind achieves his liberation from sense thraldom and comes at last into the recognition of the intense spiritual grace that God will give him. But rid himself he must of human pride and all conditions that exalt the ego and destroy the power and passion of the living God. For you are gods, as Moses spake long ago. And you are indeed, but unless you know it, you are an exile here upon this planetary home, far from your great spiritual home in the consciousness of God. For wherever man is, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, the city of God is within him. And the city of God, the kingdom of God, the radiance of God, the immortality of God is a very real part of each individual. Let men understand then that they ought to relinquish their feelings of darkness and shame and disrespect for the mighty grace that God has placed within them that beats their heart. For there are needed today upon the planetary body as never before examples that will go forth into the arena of humanity, as the Christ long ago said in his great commission, "Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." The good news which God reveals is that man is no longer a creature of darkness and never was. Let the bells toll. Let the bells ring out. Let the joy bells be heard in the hearts of men. For the reality of God has freed men forever from the curse of Eden. Through the Christ consciousness existing simultaneously with the very birth of creation, the beauty and bounty of God available to humanity as the power of salvation even to earliest man existed, simultaneously and side by side in his consciousness with all of the frustrations and darkness and delays. When the great master Saint Germain my beloved friend, came forth in medieval Europe, and later it came to pass that that valiant soul brought forth truth and was maligned by men who did not understand him, while yet he wore mortal form and mortal garb, and then still did not understand him in the immortal yet formed state as he manifested after his ascension. I want all to know then that men and women may never recognize the great potential in themselves, and because they do not, you cannot expect them to recognize it in you. For so long as mankind are bereft of the recognition of the mighty tides of light and love that come over the cosmic sea into the being of man, they may not recognize it in those who do not proclaim it, yet prove an example of it. And if perchance some of you rashly speak to them of the glory of God in the face of another embodied individual contemporary with their own design in this present time, it is doubtful that many of them will receive it. Rather would they pay heed to those false prophets of darkness who operate in the psychic and astral world. Let me say to you then, that the infinite love of God with which I came abideth with you always. Each one of you, by the consecration and dedication of your energies, may find the light trumpeting over the eastern sea and lodged in the side of the north. You may find the mysterious geometry of the world, governing those first, second, third, and fourth dimensional aspects, as well as those dimensional aspects of which even your scientists are not aware, whereby God in his greater wisdom is able to create those fashions and designs that comprise the infinite and myriad fashions of the cosmos in all of its intricacy of design and wondrous perpetuation of the cosmic clock. I come then tonight that I may produce many graces within you. My intent tonight is to make many in this world aware of the magnificent concepts of the living God by removing from them those seals to their consciousness that have troubled them for so long. The extent of the removal in time will be the extent of your devotion and love and application to your God presence, for the God designed to be lowered into your physical form manifestation, as well as the characterization of your being. For human character is of far greater value than men may ever know or realize until they are ascended and free. Human character, when framed by the divine, when blessed by the afflatus of cosmic grace, is indeed the most magnificent outpouring of the living God. So much so that even those of us in the ascended state would build an altar to each of you because of the God content already manifesting within you. Do not confuse, blessed ones, the fact that you have also a pack upon your back, a pack of troubles and karmic situations that seem to belie the God within. These conditions can be righted and be no more. Has not God said, though your sins be as scarlet, I will make them as white as wool? Do you stand upon the divine promises, or are you still afraid of the great compass of life, directed from the hand of the Brotherhood, from the hand of hierarchy? Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. Mighty are his works and his strengths, which manifest among mankind. Yet it is not necessary that you should wait until the moment of your passing from the screen of life to understand these graces and these beauties and these bounties and this tremendous opportunity which you have and which you hold within yourself, captured within the magnetic energy of the heart. I say then, O beloved brothers of light, come now, 144 of you, and pass through the aura of this building. Deliver now into the hearts of these people that magnetic and cosmic energy which will enable them to understand the infinite light so much more than they did before by reason of the density patterns in their world. that somehow or other intruded themselves between the divine design and themselves. The perfection of the light is with you now, and it blazes forth within you. There is a sea that I would make turbulent by light, and that sea is the sea of the great cosmic passion of the love of God's own heart for each of you and for all mankind. I say, O troubled waters, and I say, O peaceful waters, let us all unite then in one magnificent outpouring of cosmic energy, inundating these hearts with the great grace of our infinite and cosmic peace. Even in the midst of motion and energy and challenge and light and power and the movement of the cosmic sea, there cometh forth by cosmic vision and power the infinity of the living God to pour over you the giant waves of cosmic grace and love, and to flood you with these waves of cosmic love and light, so that you may feel in those moments of solemnity and sadness when all seems lost to your blessed selves, that the living God still loves you. And you will remember, whenever you place in your hand a seashell, and then, holding it to your ear, hear the roar of the sea, that there is the roar of hierarchy, and the roar of the ascended master consciousness, and the roar of life that is pouring forth this gentle, suffusing, yet turbulent rain, contradictory perhaps to some, but flooding your world with a variety of light's experiences that produces stars and suns and cosmic bursts of light and myriad beauty, all sweeping mankind down the stream of experience and life into the fullness of the God design and the God intent. One day you will come to us, and then, standing before us, we will reach out and we will hold your hands, not as the custom is amongst mankind, holding one hand, but clutching both hands. The cosmic magnetic energy of our heart's love will bring to you the recognition of that which God has already given to us. For the Lord liveth, and the Lord loveth. And the Lord may have taken away from men that which is best that he take away from them, but he also is the great giver, that giveth unto humanity all that is his love, and the tide of that love, and the sweep, and the dimension of that love, and the joy of that love. May each of you, wearing a chalice tonight within your being, offer that chalice unto the living God and say, O God, fill me with thy light outpouring radiance tonight and every day, that I may go forth with a sense of the beauteous cosmic dawn, one with the universal perceptions and perfection of God, one with humanity, one with the heart that is the heart of God. For within each creature, great and small, lies the self-same gift of infinitude, the infinitude of immortality. The challenge is yours. Will you accept it and be free? Will you recognize it and see that, behold, the Lord God that liveth has made it for thee? Then in this simple matrix, our love will smile upon you as a sun shining in all of his strength, and never again will you permit the darkness to rise in engulfing tides, to swirl against the lotus that in the swamps of life may be engulfed and surrounded, but always will rise upon the tides and float free upon the brilliance of the sea. The mist swirling round about produce elevation, and all of the sea of troubles that mankind may receive, instead of bringing defeat and darkness and shame to him, will lift him up until he is high and dry in the radiance of the shining sun that makes of the lotus a translucent blossom through which the light shines. And in this penetration of light there is also a gentle flow, warming, revivifying, tender, beautiful, sweet, and lovely, the compassion of the love of hierarchy, the love of the living Christ for each creature here below. Such is the love of God. Such is the love of hierarchy. Such is the love released in this conference. Carry it now wherever you go, back to your homes, and let it flow. Light and truth and radiant power bringing to all humanity a shower, filled with God's intent for man, comfort and the plan for all. O sweet sea, O sweet light, O sweet vibratory action, thou freest men that they may truly live. I seal you with a holy kiss. Ladies and gentlemen, the quick and the dead are our subject this day, and as we come to you with that great cosmic awareness given to us by cosmic grace, it is to remind all of you that humanity today are divided into two parts, those who are quick and those who are dead. Humanity, unfortunately, by reason of their failure to apprehend cosmic intentions, have quite frequently entered into a vibratory action that in the eyes of God brings them already to a state of the loss of their divine life by reason of the fact that they consume it upon their lusts, and their consciousness and their thoughts continue to express that which belongs to the domain of death rather than the domain of life. We would rather speak of those who are lively stones, builded up into a spiritual order of mercy, beauty, strength, and fortitude. We come to you then this day with awareness of the potential of the quick, those individuals who are able to summon in a moment the great compassion which is necessary in order to disseminate cosmic truth free from the bigotry of mortal opinions. Humanity from time to time become imbued with the idea that they themselves are both judge and jury, and do not recognize the potential of cosmic jurisprudence to enter into a comprehension of what is real about an individual and what is nothing more than a false front which they have allowed to be builded in their consciousness. Delusion itself is infectious, and humanity from time to time become victims of the delusions of others, and these in turn feed the fires of their own banal disillusionment with life. From disillusionment comes boredom, and from boredom comes restlessness, and from restlessness comes at last idle mischief, and out of idle mischief comes sin, and from sin comes again the return to the cycle of death. Therefore I say to all of you this day that humanity ought to have spiritual eyes that are open to the light, because the light can do that for humanity which nothing else can do. The light can sunder decisively from humanity those energies which are not of the light. The light can drive out of man's feeling world and out of his mind those disturbing factors which prevent clear seeing. For when individuals are not able to see clearly, they cannot follow direction. And by reason of their failure to follow direction, again and again, they will make the same mistakes and find themselves face to face with the return of their own energies, coming back for redemption as well as instruction. For karmic patterns are not of necessity, all coming back, returning to man, simply because of the fact that man requires punishment, but rather because he also requires the instruction in righteousness which these conditions bring. The instruction in righteousness which is the sweetness of God, although it may seem at the time to be chastisement, in reality it is a blessing in disguise. Will you understand with me then how beautiful nature is? Will you understand with me how beautiful the soul is? For the soul potential not only has within it the ability to perform perforce phenomenal miracles and happenings that will magnetize the mind to light, but also has the potential of creating in consciousness the blessed thoughts which God himself shares only with the most advanced angels and cosmic beings. You may not at first understand this, and so I shall explain that it is possible for human beings born in a physical body, having the beautiful soul within, to reach up to that level which already is attained by the angels. Therefore, man, if he wills it so, can achieve a unity with the very heart of God and become not only the quick, but the fully illumined. You will recall the words Jesus spoke unto Iscariot at the time that he betrayed him. That which thou doest, do quickly. Let it be understood clearly by mankind, then, that those who are determined to do evil will, in many cases, do it slowly, and thus, as they carry out over a longer period of the range of their lives nefarious activities, they will corrupt their soul even more so than if they do it quickly. I will explain this to you. It is necessary for man, in order to understand this, to recognize that there are certain laws governing all action. The understanding of these laws is most important. When humanity act in an evil manner, but act quickly, there is less time and concentration for a deep penetration of the falsity of evil into the substance of their soul substance. When they take a longer time, as for example, to decide to murder a certain individual whom they hate, and they proceed to hate this individual for 10 years, it is far more corrosive upon them than a sudden spurt of anger. Yet we are not concerned with this particular phase in depth, but only to illumine you concerning this fact, that you will not dwell upon evil. Whenever you are troubled by conditions, unwanted conditions that invade your life, remember the power and potential of turning to the light quickly and quickening the power of the light within yourself as a means of clean escaping those conditions that are unwanted in your world. Again and again, individuals continue to generate principles of fear and negation in their life. These principles of fear prevent the quickening of life, the very condition you seek. And therefore, individuals should understand that by ridding yourself of fear and the potential of fear, by ridding yourself of negativity and doubt, by affirming those positive conditions which you want, you will be more able to manifest them. The state of mind that we have is one which you also can have. The possibility and potential of each of you to manifest these qualities is in reality your ticket to higher realms and states of overcoming. If it were impossible for you to exhibit these self-same qualities that we ourselves utilized in attaining our own mastery, then of course it would be more difficult for you to achieve your mastery. But because these conditions are spiritually normal to man, you ought to understand that when you open the gateway to positive God domination of your mortal self by the wholeness of the whole man, you help to quicken within yourself those great cosmic potentials used by the ascended masters and cosmic beings in all past times to create those understandings of nature and nature's power that give you the dominion and self-mastery you seek and crave. Do not seek, beloved hearts, to learn those magical qualities whereby you may dominate the minds of other men, but rather yourself. For this is the key to true mastery. When individuals become angry with other parts of life, they open the door to all forms of astral darkness. And individuals who do this will often find that at first they have an uncomfortable feeling. They may, perchance, actually enjoy momentarily the discomfiture they bring to other parts of life. But I can assure you that what follows is not appetizing, either to your own blessed selves or the ascended masters. For we are concerned only with the manifestation upon this planet with universal harmony and perfection. We do not seek to drive a wedge between genuine spiritual organizations and individuals who are tied to them. Instead, we seek a unification in spirit of humanity. For there is only one God and one purpose that valiantly brings to humanity the power of quickening conditions whereby they themselves can take themselves out of the status of becoming the dead into that realm where they are indeed the quick. We ourselves in the ascended realm have often been referred to by the great divine director and the cosmic hierarchy as the true quick. Therefore you should understand that a quickening of the vibratory action of humanity is what is accomplished. Again and again, individuals do not see these simple facts, simply because they allow themselves to dwell entirely almost in mortal consciousness. Or they fall into a sense where even when they seek spiritual things, they see them mirrored in their own mortal concepts. They have their doubts, their fears, and their questionings as a part of their quest, and quite naturally they find them also to the right and to the left of the road. Because in the world of form there are such vast momentums and doubts existing already in humanity that it is not difficult for those who affinitize with these vibratory qualities to see them, for they are already created in billions of minds. That the mind of man should actually manifest the one mind of God and freedom from fear and doubt is our hope. It can never be when individuals start upon the spiritual path and find the way to our abode in part, and then, simply because of outer trivialities or distractions, the activities of psychic entities and various vicious thought forms in the world, allow themselves to be diverted from the path so easily. It cannot be then that they will manifest the powers and potential of the kingdom of heaven. Do you see then, blessed ones, that so long as you allow yourselves to be diverted by outer thoughts and feelings, so long will you prevent yourselves from manifesting the great cosmic potential of the kingdom. I come to you this day then in the full awareness that we have great solar needs now to bring forth upon the planetary body a group of individuals who are willing to work together with the cosmic hierarchy in this moment of mankind's peril. For the peril upon earth is very great, and the potential peril is even greater. When humanity understand then this great peril and recognize that they have an opportunity, a chance to stay the hand of darkness and increase the potential of light upon the planetary body, to the blessing of millions of infants and tiny children, aspiring souls, as well as those of other ages, whose total hope is actually in God. Oftentimes, many of them are not aware of the realm in which we live. They are not aware of the other world. They are not aware of the continuity of life. They are not aware of life upon other planetary bodies, or upon other phases, I might say, of existence. For although it may seem strange to some of you, there is a potential whereby through phasing frequency, several evolutions can simultaneously occupy the same planetary body without even ever becoming aware of each other. This affords the Ascended Master's octave a most tremendous opportunity to serve the evolutions of many groups simultaneously, far more than you are aware of. This all can take place without so much as increasing the planetary weight one iota. In fact, the weight of humanity's effluvia is more inclined to tip the scales of the planetary axis by far than all of the evolutions simultaneously when God oriented. For God is light, and because he is light, the light frequencies are always able to function in perfect God control of all external environments and environmental actions. I come to you then this day also to make you aware of the many lodges of perfection that we have created here among mankind. Lodges of perfection to us means receptive altars, where mankind can see clearly their own individual opportunities and the collective opportunities to transcend both their environment and their hereditary factors. Humanity do not need to remain bound as they currently are. We have already clearly demonstrated our power to escape from the darkness and shadow which humanity have allowed themselves to become so much a part of. We are in the realm of the quick. We remain there. The vibratory action of our realm, then, is an ascending frequency, a constant raising out of the levels of human doldrums into those magnificent realms of thought and feeling that generate and receive simultaneously the divinely ordained actions that free humanity and all life everywhere from all that is not of the light. What a magnificent concept humanity then may have if they will only recognize the reality that their I Am presence clearly manifests to them. For the presence of God vibrates at this tremendously high frequency, this tremendously high rate of vibration, which is incomprehensible to the human mind. But that does not make any difference, blessed ones, for I am sure that you will understand that the frequency of our realm is for you. I am sure that you will understand that all of these things were created to raise your own vibratory action so that you yourselves may actually more easily enter into the realm of the ascended state. In some cases, we have perceived where individuals have had great aspiration for the ascended state, so much so that they literally forced upon nature their own ascension even before they deserved it. Some may not quite understand this, but in such cases, wheresoever the physical body was after the ascension, usually white ash appeared upon the ground. This a pile of untransmuted substance, which they must then transmute from the ascended state. We want you to understand clearly that in the true ascended state, the true free state, which we advocate coming to all, individuals are able to raise the body into the ascension as beautifully as you can imagine, so that it will rise majestically into the air, as did Jesus Christ long ago from Bethany's hill. And many others have escaped this planet. This very year, there were 4 ascensions in the physical that took place upon this planet. One, you must understand, from Mount Arhat. Another from the River Jordan. One from South America. And one from the United States. I want you to understand then that in addition to the fact that there are ascensions from inner levels, there are still ascensions occurring from the physical level. And these ascensions enable us to give a fuller explanation of the law to humanity through the consciousness of those who have just recently escaped from the human octave. Do you understand that each time an individual from this octave crosses the bridge, rises into the atmosphere, pulsating as light frequencies, that it creates a new skein of antakarana, a new filling of the gap between the human and the divine. Thereby, you see, tremendous light is allowed to flow over the energy patterns on the pathway of that individual's ascension. We are aware of how individuals have said, where do they go when they ascend? Which way is up? Let me say to all of you then today that the words "a cloud received him out of their sight" clearly denote a form of radiant obscurity. Have you ever heard the passage before? Radiant obscurity. Well, then hear it now for the first time. Because it is possible to actually conceal from human gaze that which is wholly divine and received by the divine back into the heart of God. But this must not be a darkened cloud of manifestation, as though complete mystery cloaked the marvelous activity of the ascension. Rather, there is a radiance which descends into the earth octave and fills the earth octave with hope every time an individual escapes from the realm of this world and its magnetism, including its banal magnetism, magnetizing humanity to old patterns of imperfection that do vibrate according to the level of the rate of the dead. We say then, attune yourselves and affinitize with the light and the light rate of vibration, with the quickening of the spirit, whereby you may be able to sunder your connection so easily, much more easily, with those things that are undesirable, simply because you will come into a living and breathing awareness of the power that we wield and the intent and purpose of the living God, which he holds also for you. I want you then to understand that so long have mankind familiarized themselves with these old habit patterns of thought and feeling that have never produced one iota of freedom, that now it is possible for individuals to change all of that if they will only observe the ritual of faith. Unfortunately, just as soon as they determine that they are going to observe the ritual of faith, then along comes the powers of darkness and literally dangle before their gaze those optical illusions which are no reality at all, simply a change in the feeling rate of their vibratory world. If they would only understand that faithfulness to Dharma, faithfulness to duty, year after year, month after month, day after day, will cause them to be able to tie in to old reserves and momentums of cosmic virtue, they will see the value in maintaining a constancy of decree pattern, a constancy of attendance at our dictations and our releases which are given to you, and an increase in your devotion from day to day. You cannot decrease your activities for the light and then expect to receive the same rate of increase. It cannot be, for we are governed by cosmic law even as you are. And our one supreme thought for all of you is that you will ultimately free yourselves from this rate of vibration into our octave of light, where once again you will be able to indulge yourselves in those spiritual delights and graces that were prepared for you in heaven. For eye has not seen, nor has ear heard, neither entered into the heart of man, the things which God has prepared for them that love him, to them who are the called according to his purpose. I am called Sanctus Germanus, and I came to you this day that I might express a little bit more of the love and fashion of heaven for you, that one by one you might take delight in fashioning for yourselves more of this self-same grace, and thus escape from the round of sense nonsense, which presently floods the world, including the psychic world, with delusion. I come to you then this day, that you might understand the reality of your God presence, and understand the reality of the plan that heaven has already prepared for each of you. Not darkness, but light, for light itself is complete in its graces. And when you understand that, and begin to move upon the spiritual path in full fervor, you will find yourself having a wondrous occurrence, a wondrous happening in your world. You will find yourself accelerating your momentums toward grace and goodness. Instead of having less, you will find yourself possessing more. And by this grace, you will mount up as on eagle wings into the heaven world of achievement, for multitudes have gone before you. Multitudes are going now, and all will eventually ultimate in the perfection of the living God. And those who do not will mercifully be given the second death as an activity whereby the earth and the heaven world both may be freed from the dregs of perpetuation of evil. Evil must fall. It cannot preserve itself intact, for its very nature is a falling action. For I saw a star fall from heaven, and its name was wormwood. Let men understand then that the gall of the fall is all a matter of ridiculousness from the divine standpoint. It is unnecessary. For God in the beginning prepared only wings of virtue upon which all may, if they will, rise. I thank you.